the fact that there's all over the world people following me is surreal. It's surreal to look where people come from tiny little places in the middle of Africa, and you just go, wow, and they send you a little note, and it's it's really surreal how you can touch someone and then they send you a note and say, hey, thanks, I love this recipe. Oh.
Hola y bienvenidos. Welcome to Molé Mama Cooking with Love. You're about to join us for our weekly adventure where we chat with food bloggers, chefs, and artisans who are helping us to connect, to learn, and share love with every single bite we make. I'm super excited about our guest today. I have Giangi's kitchen with us. And if you haven't checked her out on Instagram or her blog, you need to go and do that right now. This woman is an amazing chef. She's making all different types of Italian and French food. She uses fresh and real ingredients to help you make elegant meals for your family that they will love. And I was really attracted to her because she has 10 commandments of cooking, I think is what she calls it. And she lists butter 3 times. And if you know anything about me, I love my butter. So I'm like, I have got to talk to this woman. So with that, hola and welcome, Giangi. So nice to have you here.
Thank you so very much, Diane, and hola and welcome. Bonjour to everyone. I am Giangi Townsend. It is a pleasure to be here. And yes, I have my 10 commandments, and butter came in 3 times, and I think cream twice.
I know, like, I got to talk to you. She's a kindred spirit. I love, oh my gosh, real butter, real cream, heavy cream. That's me. It's like real food.
Well, I'm French. It's just like I mean, we know the difference. We know when our butter is from summer butter cows or milk or winter milk, and we're shocked when we moved to the United States and the butter is all the same color, white. When in France it's like, oh, in the summer it's like yellow bright because they are pasturing in the haze and are eating all the grass, and in the winter time it's a little different, and it's like So yes, I love butter, even though I try to be as healthy as I possibly can and cut down in my butter, but it just sneaks in. It just has a permanent fixture in my kitchen. So that's it. My butter is there.
Yes, and mine too. I grew up on a dairy farm, so my mother used to make us homemade butter. So yeah, it can't leave me. It just can't leave.
Oh.
And so, like you, I've tried to cut down a little bit, be healthier. But okay, we got to start talking about you more. So you told us a little bit about your background. Can you tell us a little bit more about your award-winning blog? Because it's beautiful.
Well, Giangi's Kitchen it started just out of a fluke, I have to tell you. I always cooked, and I had 2 very dear close friends, which are still very dear close friends to me, like 2 sisters. And every night, every day, every little single day, because our kids used to go to school together, every day we'd meet up and have a coffee and chit chat. Well, actually, coffee was a Coke and a Dr. Pepper. So that's our coffee. And so we did every night. I said, "What's for dinner? What's for dinner?" I said, "You know what, guys? I'm gonna just do a blog just for the 2 of you." That was 10 years ago, so I started just for fun. And it was my nightly dinner. I just put down things, and I decided just it's kind of fun. And there was a whole menu that I was doing. And then it just kind of took, a life of itself. Next thing you know, it's like I'm all over the world. Next thing you know, I just a couple of years ago won an award of best Southwest blogger and lifestyle. I was like, wow. I have people from all over the world following it, and it's just amazing. So I decided to kind of change a little bit the format. So instead of being a blog, I decided to go as a website, which I have my blog section where I can blabber about things that I want and give some advice on things, but then just recipes, because people were coming to my page for recipe and they didn't want to play with too much stuff. So that's how I did it. And that's how I started. And it has been the most fun experience of my life, because I always had this dream that I would just cook, travel, and write. And it's like throwing it there and it just coming right back. And I'm having a lot of fun with my blog. I mean, it's really been challenging, of course, but we'll discuss all that a little bit later. But yes, it's a fun journey. So
That's outstanding. It is so beautiful. It's lovely. Your photos of your food. I'm like, and you have, I want to talk a little bit about when you started cooking, because I think you have a great
Oh,
background and just so lovely.
well, I never I did know I was burning water. I could burn water better than anybody else. And if one day somebody asked me, so how can you burn water? I says very simple. You take a pan, you put water, you put it on the stove, and then you let it go. And trust me, you can burn the pan. And that
Yeah.
was me. And I was raised. I had a fantastic grandmother who she was my hero. She would literally taste a recipe and dissect it and know exactly what was in it and replicate it. She never worked with a recipe. I would see her. It was my maternal grandmother. She would just make ravioli. Now, imagine this big table. And here she's with the rolling pin, taking the dough and slapping it and rolling it again and slapping it. And then taking the filling and putting it perfectly lined up on every single little spot, rolling the dough over and putting a rolling pin over it with the cutout and it being exactly perfect. That's how I was raised. Then my mom is an excellent cook as well. So I think she follows some recipe, but a lot of them is just from our own creation. And then I lived with my dad, which was a fabulous cook, but you better hide half of your kitchen because he will use everything in the kitchen. So, and by living with my dad and doing everything else in the house and this and that and the other from a very early age, I decided I was never going to cook because it was going to be another one of the chores put on me. So I was like, not touching it. But my dad will be gone. I will fix some dinner. We'll be baking cakes and whatnot, but never really touch. So fast forward until I was, oh gosh, in the 90s. And I was later in life. My grandmother unfortunately passed on. So I decided to take a year off and to self teach how to cook and also I did gardening, pottery, and cooking. That's what I did for a whole year. So I went and that's how my challenge came with cooking and how, it's hard to find a good recipe out there and how to find a cookbook which is worth investing where it can teach you how to cook. So I kind of took the steps. I invited my friends over for dinner. They were my guinea pig, which all of a sudden they were volunteering too quickly. I went, let me see here. Why are you volunteering so quickly to come over for dinner? I was like, and then so I did, and then but that's how it started. I could burn water. I wouldn't. I chose not to cook, and when I did cook, I have my husband that can vouch. It was so lousy, and then you can wait. I went to visit them for a weekend. You can wait for leave and just throw away my food because it was like, oh my god, it's good eat. I'm not exaggerating. That sounds bad, and I took that year and I decided to start, and it was fun, and it was really the love affair. It became this love affair with cooking, of finding out the classic recipe, finding out all how it works together. I'm a gadget person, and I just will go to store, read recipe, just do this, do that, and it's really been kind of fun.
So you have amazing heritage as far as great cooks. Didn't want to do it, but then now here
Yeah.
you are doing it. For
Yes.
many thousands of us, so it's fantastic.
Oh, I was 27 when I started cooking. I know 29. What am I talking about? 29. So it's just like,
Wow.
well, so there is hope for everyone out there.
Yes.
Literally, there is hope, guys. So, don't ever give up. If you can burn water, look at my blog. You can do it.
So, is there a favorite recipe that you make for your family?
I have quite a few, as a matter of fact. One that I kind of created upon it was brandy with chicken piccata. We all love chicken piccata. Is the easiest dish to make, but it's usually with wine. And I didn't have any wine, so I decided to take brandy. I mean, hey, I have a closet full of alcohol. I never use it. So I just pick brandy. It was the best thing ever. The
Really?
best thing ever because the brandy is a apple base, and when you mix it with the butter and you break it down, oh my gosh, the flavor intensifies it, makes it a richer cream with the butter. To die for,
Oh.
literally to die for. And
I'm gonna have to make
oh,
that for my husband. I'm gonna he sounds like something he would love.
oh, it was absolutely amazing because it came from a regular, chicken piccata, but changing just one ingredient made it completely different. Make sure that you do the same process. You just replace one for the other. And another one that we really, I mean, we have quite a few, but one we really love is mango with rums, marinated with lime, and then over ice cream. And last night, 2 nights ago, I made one that my son has asked again to do it again, which is kind of weird. It's peaches roasted with honey and then served with mascarpone sugar vanilla cream.
Oh, that sounds
Oh my gosh.
amazing.
I was sitting there, I was like, okay, I loved my roasted peaches, but this, it will just shoot them off the records. It is just melts in your mouth. You have the blog post will come up tomorrow, and please do make it up. It's on my blog. Try it. Easy peasy. Literally, it takes 20 minutes, and I think 2 minutes to prepare. Put the honey, cut them, take the peas off, and put the honey on it. To die for.
Okay, those both sound so amazing.
And that
I'm
does it.
yeah. Oh my goodness, I love peaches too. So that
And
sounds
this is a
good.
season, so let's take advantage of it.
All right. So what? Because your blog is just a culinary treasure. You have so many
Yeah,
different recipes on the blog. So we talked
thank
about
you.
your family's favorites, but what are some of the most popular recipes on your blog?
Well, there is quite a few. One who has been really surprising me and has been, I think, over 200,000 hit on Pinterest, which is really weird, is a breaded orange ruffy. I made it, I think, 8 years ago, and it's the most ugliest picture you will ever see. I mean, seriously, what was I thinking? I took some cooking, some photography classes, and I invested in the good equipment, but that was years ago. So forgive the pictures, and it has been one of the most successful, just kind of off the bat. Content constantly being shared. The latest one that I just made, an upside down banana cake, because I had some banana, I didn't know what to do with it. So I made a pound cake with the bananas, put it all together. Unbelievable. It's been nonstop being shared, and really one of the most successful as well as my jalapeno burgers. It's just kind of off the bat because I have no buns. So it helps all the people who don't want to do carb. The jalapeno, by removing the seeds, gives the flavor. All the cheeses inside, just delicious. And it's just the most hit on recipes. So those are kind of really my three most fun plates. I mean, there's some pasta dishes which are going get a lot of hits on Pinterest because I'm very I have a big Pinterest account there, but as well as on my website is and fascinating. Those are really the most clicked on recipes. Go figure, right?
Yes. Well, I'm sitting here going, okay, which one do I want to make first? So like,
Well, let's start with dessert. I mean, seriously, life is too short. Let's start with dessert. It's got to be dessert first, and then you just go with the rest of it. So,
so interesting. And I've seen on your website as well that you're doing carnitas, you're doing tomatillo salsa, which is kind of like the area that I kind of live in and play in. And I was like,
yeah.
this woman is all over. That's awesome. So you're all different cultures you're exploring.
Well, I traveled the world. I've been very fortunate, and I've traveled around the world in the northern hemisphere twice already. I haven't done the south, which is like I'm dying to do that. And I was supposed to this summer. It's gonna go away. And so I love to eat, and I love cultures. And if we all kind of take a step back, and it's like the world is such a big place, but we all have a common bond.
Mhm.
We all love food, and food really l- attaches us, link us all together. It doesn't matter where we are, where we're coming from, any of that. At the end of the day, we're all sat down with our family to enjoy a meal. So to me, food, I'm looking at it as a way of binding a family and taking a family back to the nucleus, to us. And so I love when we go out, enjoy other people's cooking. I mean, I get irate when I see people come from other countries. It's like, I want this, like, and you're not doing like you're doing at home. I said, well, you're not at home. This is how we cook. And and I'm trying to get off my little, my little box. So the carnitas was one of my favorite food, and I decided to try to make it. And like anything else, you just go, it was that easy? Seriously?
Mhm.
Why have I not made it earlier? And the song found me out. I do a lot of Asian food too. I'm not very good at it, but I do make some Asian food to it. I made my first poblano, stuffed poblano, which are my favorite. I just to die for, and
Mhm.
it takes not too long. So it's just a fact of just kind of stepping out there and trying to attempt. And then some of them you're just finding the good recipe, which is really through to the culture, because we have tendency to change recipes. So going back to the root of the recipe, the culture. I mean, I hate to make a carnitas with a French flair. Like, this is nice. As fusion cooking is no longer just real Mexican food. So it's kind of so yes, I'm expanding. I'm trying to expand this, but it's
It looks like you're doing quite well expanding.
thank you.
Honestly, when I saw your picture of your carnitas, I went, "Huh, look at this one. That does look amazing." So well
I
done.
was, it was just amazing because a little anecdote here. I always was fearful of making rack of lamb, right?
Mhm.
It was one of those things. It was to me, it was the ultimate recipe that somebody would make. It was just like I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch it. So one year I decided, well, you know what? This is ridiculous. Let me try it. And 15 minutes later, actually 30 minutes later, I had this beautiful rack of lamb on my table, and I've been slapping myself since because all those years I refused to make because I thought it was the most difficult and now. So same thing with I'm always very intimidated by Mexican cooking because it's so intricate and it's got so many flavors and pulls it from so many directions. I'm like, I'm scared to death to touch it. So I decided, oh well, come on. So I got a good book and I actually got 4 books, put it all together out and literally read the recipe and said, okay, all those have a common bound. So this is it. So I just kind of literally kind of overlap everything, put it all together. And then I realized how easy it was. I went, seriously? So I've already made it 3 times. But
They're
since
really
that time,
easy.
made it I know, but when you don't know and you don't have
Yes.
the guidance, you just kind of go, oh,
Yes.
ooh, you're intimidated. You really, I was intimidated, and now it's like, well, now I'm gonna try something else.
Well, I think with Mexican cooking, if you can chop, if you
Mhm.
can chop for really, because it's a lot of chopping with all those
Yes.
ingredients, then you can do it. It's just like it's not I think there's
Oh,
more prep work than there is actually cooking sometimes, but that's just me. But
it's true. No, it's true because I have to chop all the pork things, pork little pieces, and I clean all the fat, and then you have to cook, and then do that, and then you saute it, and it cooks by itself. It was really not that complicated.
Mhm,
It's just the intimidation of when you don't know how
mhm.
to do it, and that's what I think is a lot of people have that fear, the intimidation of tackling a recipe and not doing it because of I don't know the results. So
Mhm.
I
Agreed.
just think, we should all kind of go to that part and go, just let it go, just try it. I mean, what's the worst thing can happen? Okay, well, may not be like the real carnitas, but at least it's good food.
I'm sure they were delicious. Like I said, your photo
Oh,
was like, wow.
my family
And
has asked me already 3 times to remake it, and I have made it since then 3 more times.
that's outstanding. So I'm just going to tell you another because it sounds like you're ready for the next level of carnitas.
Oh,
So
good.
okay, so I mentioned that I grew up on a dairy farm, and my we had animals, and when we would butcher a pig, we would make homemade carnitas, but we would make them in a hole in the ground so they would be smoked. So we dig a huge hole, a big huge cazuela, this giant pan, all the chunks of pork with some fat, and then there was like this big stick that you literally mix it with, and they'd cover it with leaves. And because it was on an open flame, the smoke flavor would go into the pork. Amazing. So for years, I've been like, how could I duplicate that? I'm not going to dig a hole in my yard.
Yeah,
So no,
yeah, it's like I'm
not happening.
thinking,
But recently for my anniversary, my husband bought me a smoker. And I was like, I wonder if. So I have a very large cast iron skillet.
uh-huh.
I did it my old way. I put it on my smoker, and I did it with maple bourbon pellets. Oh my goodness. Like I took a bite and I was like, I was almost crying because this is the closest I've ever come to duplicating that flavor from my childhood. So if you have a smoker, if you do
No, but you're
smoke
the second person who's been talking to me
it.
about smoker this exact week. So
Mhm.
I think I need to start looking into it. It's 115. I don't know if I want to be smoking out there right now, but we have 9 to 10 months of absolutely phenomenal weather. So I think I'm going to be looking into
Yes.
it.
Yeah, but
Uh,
that's a whole other level. But so anyway, if you want to
yeah,
try it.
but it's like, it sounds good. A new gadget to add to my culinary. Like I said, we should I can open my own store.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Okay. So I mentioned your 10 commandments because I found those on your website and I thought they were so cute. Oh my
Thank you.
goodness. So can you tell our listeners just a little bit more? Because we've already mentioned that butter's on there 3 times.
Yeah, butter's there 3 times. Always use cream. Always use good wine to dinner because life is too short. I think another one is I always use good wine to cook. People say, "Oh, can I just buy this cheap wine?" And I'm like, "Well, let me put it to you this way: would you wear an evening gown with tennis shoes? No, you wouldn't." I mean, it's just like I know it's kind of a really completely unrelated, but think about it. You will never do that. And it's the
Right.
same for cooking. You always have to use good wine because good wine. I'm not talking $50 bottle of wine. Okay, I'm talking about good wine where you can find it within 20, 10 to 20 price range. It gives it that flavor. It really gives it a good flavor, and it continues. So if you drink it, you cook with it. Another one as don't look at the calories. I mean, let's face it, we have gyms everywhere, and all of us are always, thinking about walking, doing this, doing that. Well, just add a couple of more miles to it, and that's it. Stop, stop, stop. It's just like that's the way it is. Okay, it is what it is. We only live once. Be healthy, but don't deprive yourself of good food. And then another one, which I think is take you to my friends. I don't have them in front of me, so I'm just going back to my memories. One of them is my friends. I have wonderful friends, but they also have a couple of them have dietary restrictions. So I'll always try to make little food for them when they come to my house. I used to have a lot of gatherings, not as much right now, obviously, but every time we do so, some of them didn't cannot have dairy, some of them cannot have fish, some of them cannot vinegar, for instance, just like an allergic reaction to vinegar. So I always try to cater to them because I mean, let's face it, it's hard to find good friends, and when you have them, cherish them. So to me, it's my way of telling them I love them, and I love them. They're here with me, and I do everything for them. Nobody knows that I do something special. They know that there's something special for them, and that's pretty much it. And that's kind of don't I think did I cover them all? Do you have them in
Well,
front of me?
no, I don't have them in front of me, but there was one other one that I went, yeah, I do that too. You talked about chocolate and having a little
Oh
piece of
yeah.
chocolate every day. I do that every single day. I have a piece of
Oh,
dark
I'm a
chocolate.
chocoholic,
Me too.
and I admit it. I have chocolate. If I were to show you all the chocolate bars and I have in my refrigerator, you'll just go, okay, this woman is a little crazy. But every day I have to have a piece of chocolate. It's a habit that I got when I was a kid in Paris. Raised, we will finish school at 5:30, and we walk right in front of the bakery. And the smell. If you're French or been in Europe, you know the smell of that bakery. You would just kind of like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, and you just kind of go like a little zombie to it. Well, that was me going to getting a half a baguette, getting a chocolate bar, opening the baguette, putting the chocolate bar like this, and eating on my way
Oh
home.
my.
Nutella has been just, my aunts, I remember my aunts and my grandma, they would make homemade bread and then spread Nutella over it.
Oh
And
my
it's like,
goodness.
oh,
Oh, oh, sounds
yeah.
so
So, I mean,
amazing.
yeah. And actually, chocolate is very good for you. Not milk chocolate, real chocolate, the 75 and above. It's very good for you. So, hey, and I also, I my little anecdote on chocolate. I made myself a kilo, which is 2 pounds of chocolate mousse. I hate the whole thing. Now, if all of you are familiar with chocolate mousse, it's eggs, butter, and cream. That's all there is. There's no cook. You just whip it, and I hate the whole kilo. Whole kilo. I had your true to honest goodness crise de foie, liver crisis. When the French talk about liver
Oh
crisis,
my
well, I had one.
goodness. Oh my
My
goodness.
liver just went, oh, I don't think so, young lady. What do you think you're doing? So I got sick like a dog on it. And my dad said, well, now I hope you learn a lesson. I went, yeah, right, Dad. So when that was over, I just went right back. Maybe not a kilo, but I went right back and just enjoyed my chocolate. I love chocolate, and that's the way it is.
I do too, and I like you. Only the dark chocolates, e-
Yeah.
and the other thing that I do is I usually like them with almonds, and there's a little part of my brain that goes, oh, you're having almonds. That's good
Yeah,
for
so healthy.
you.
Yeah, but guess what? The calories are good too.
Yes. Yes, but that's what I
Amazing.
every day. It's how I end every single day. And I think I was reading an article a long time ago about Audrey Hepburn. And she talked about how she used to have chocolate every single day as a way of honoring her life, and that
Oh,
she had
wow.
lived another day and how grateful she was for it. And so
That's
I was like, oh, if it was good enough for Audrey Hepburn, it's definitely good enough for
good
me.
for
So
me.
that's
Absolutely.
how
Well,
it
I don't
started.
think it's gonna be good enough for me too, because I think the world of that woman. I want to
Me
be her
too.
when I grow up, because she was just
Oh, she
stunning,
was amazing. So,
stunning.
okay.
So
See, so we have more in common. It's the chocolate, it's the butter. So,
yes,
like,
and I'm sure the wine too, because that's next in the
oh,
line.
that's the wine. Absolutely. Okay. We have to talk about your classes. You have online classes that people can take with
Yes.
you, which is fantastic.
Yes, I started having them at home, and of course, COVID changed that. But the wonderful thing about it for me is because I expanded out. I am not a local person. Literally, I think in Phoenix, really nobody knows me, but everywhere else they do, which is kind of weird. So, the class obviously were at my house, and I enjoyed it. I give cooking classes for kids. I actually did a summer camp for children, the best ever. I love
Wow.
them. They even taught me how to TikTok, so we did TikTok together. So I was the old lady, the gray old lady, which like she was pretty cool. Hey, I did TikTok. Okay?
Fantastic.
It's like, I mean, it was kind of funny because they were all like all over the board by Wednesday, and I say, okay, I cranked the music and let them dance, and they looked at me like I was crazy. So, but going back to the cooking classes, so yes, so I moved him back. I moved him online, which gave the opportunity to all over the place, all over the board people to come over. They're very simple. We have once a week. I'm trying to do it once a week, and I pick a recipe like a main dish with a side dish and a dessert. And so we go over the steps. I'll send when you sign out, and it's on my recipe, my blog giangskitchen.com, and it's cooking classes. You will see the classes. You pick them, you sign up, and as soon as you sign up, I will send you a list of all the equipment that you need, all the ingredient, the recipe, all the ingredients, and all the equipment needed. So once the class comes alive, we can all cook at the same time, and it's very interactive. We do talk. We all sit down and chit chat. We all ask questions. It has never been a problem. It's actually been a kind of a lot of fun. So I kind of took a little bit of a month off because it was July and everybody was gone. So they are back on again. We'll go back to him again in September full force. I have a couple of other things also working up on my sleeve, so that will be kind of fun. I can maybe touch up a little bit into this program, but that's what we do, and I love it. I really really love it when I see people who make the same dish and they are so happy because they did it, and they go, oh, that's it. That's what I needed to do. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm doing it. So it's just fun. It's just really a lot of fun. It's fun to
That's
see that excitement.
and your classes are really small too, right?
Very small. I'm trying to keep it between 20 to 30 people. It's working out pretty well. At home, there was only six because of the space, obviously. But online, they're between 20 to 30s. And usually people send me questions beforehand. I ask them, send me all the questions that you have. It's very interactive. Most of the people, and I ask them to show me their dish. And if there is a problem, we'll discuss it, which is really a learning by all discussing and finding, oh, I'm stuffed right here. It gives opportunity to all of us to learn why we're stuffed there. And seeing on the recipe are very easy. So it gives the opportunity to everyone who even doesn't cook every day to actually step in and learn how to cook. Not that I'm trying to keep my recipe from novice to early medium cook. I don't do anything. I mean, I have probably a couple of advanced recipe which are pot roast and which takes more, but it's everyone can do it. And I get really heartwhelmed when I see people send me pictures and say, "Hey, guess what? This is my dish, and it's exactly like my dish." And they're so excited to say, "What
Oh,
next? What next?"
that's
So that's
outstanding.
then it's kind of fun. That's a fun part of
That's really fun. How lovely.
it.
Okay, well, you've mentioned it a couple times. So I've got to ask you. You are a gadget person, and I saw that
Yeah.
on your website. Also, you have a list of things that people can get. Do you have some favorite gadgets that you like that are kind of your go-tos when you're cooking?
Oh yes. My Where should I start? To be honest, back here I have a lot of stuff. I have more whiskey than you want to imagine to have. I think one thing that is it was a gag gift who became my favorite present is a knife sharpener. I always had
Mm.
this thing about my knife not being sharp, and I used to take him twice a year to be sharpened, and it was just twice a year ordeal, and you pretty much you can hurt yourself because as all we know, an unsharpened knife is an extremely dangerous thing. So as a gag gift, my family gave me this beautiful chef, which is on my website, as a matter of fact, knife sharpener. The best gift ever. Because I mean, now I don't have to wait anymore. I can just sit here, sharpen my knife, and nobody can touch it. It's my only little moment. I do have quite a few. I have my KitchenAid is my other big gadget. Everybody has on their kitchen. They very barely use it. I constantly use it. A food processor, a tiny little 2 cups, 4 cups food processor, always being used. I have a few peelers. I was sitting. I'm a little taller. I have a few peelers. This is one of my favorite. It's a
Oh.
garlic peeler.
And it really works. I've seen those and I'm like,
Oh,
it doesn't work.
let me show you.
Really? It
I
really
have it.
works.
Let's have a live
Okay.
demonstration. So you take the garlic, you put it in. Ta-da!
Oh my goodness. Okay, I've got to get one of those because I've seen them and I'm like, that can't
Oh
possibly
no,
work.
I have had this for I would say probably 10, 12 years. And I have given it to everybody in life. And when I was giving cooking classes to my kids here, it was so funny because they all went, "Can I play with that?" 'Cause I was teaching them how to peel it, and they found out that I had this, and they was like, can we have that?" So
Oh
this is
my
one of my toys.
goodness.
I have quite a few other toys. I have different peelers. I have, oh my goodness, I don't know even where to start. I have spatulas. They are my favorite things. I have all my cupper. I cannot live without my cupper. Um, uh, you name it, it is in my kitchen.
That's fantastic.
And I was like,
Okay,
I'm
but
hiding things. You
you're
thought
hiding
really
things.
hiding things.
Okay, well, I'm gonna definitely try this garlic thing because I've seen it, and like I said, I was like, no, it can't
Oh yeah,
possibly.
so you see how easy it was. I mean, like
Yes,
it's like 20 seconds.
I saw.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
it.
it was. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. See,
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned a little bit about this at the very beginning of our episode, but what have been some of the biggest surprises of your food blog? You've won awards, sounds like you've met so many people. Now you're teaching people how to cook. So what's been some of the other things that have been so surprising to you?
so surprising. I think the most rewarding things to me is when I have people send me picture of their food and say, "Oh my gosh, I love this. Thank you." And my rule of thumb is never to overtouch photos. Yeah, I'm not a photographer, so all the pictures on my blog are mine. Some of them are not pretty, and somebody one day said, "Well, just play with it." It's like, no, I don't like to play with it because a mom at home somewhere out there, or a gentleman for that matter, or anybody wants to look at the recipe and wants to be able to make exactly the same thing. And how many times I have experienced it with a chef, as a matter of fact, who pretty much told me that his recipe were touched by a food stylist, and I lost complete interest on what he was doing.
Mhm.
So it was my thing. Is like, no, be as real as you could be. And so that to me is touching when somebody sends me the picture and say, "Hey, look, it's like your place. So what can I do next?" That excitement to want to try a second recipe has just been kind of nice about it. The fact that there's all over the world people following me is surreal. It's surreal to look where people come from tiny little places in the middle of Africa, and you just go, wow, and they send you a little note, and it's um, it's really surreal how you can touch someone and then they send you a note, say, "Hey, thanks, I love this recipe. Oh, I'm trying to impress a young lady. Can you send me a menu that I could do things? And well, you know, think about this. They put
That's
their
awesome.
vulnerability on you to
Yeah.
help them. Do you know how good it feels?
No, it's amazing. That's happened to me too, where I had somebody in Croatia make our
Yeah.
tacos recently, and they couldn't find corn tortillas. They're like, "What else can I do?" So I helped them out. But yes, I agree. It's lovely.
It is really rewarding on that aspect. It's
Mhm.
just it's I mean, blogging is challenging. I mean, let's face it, you know, there are so many ups and downs, and you have to do it from a point of love and passion, because if you do it for the money, you'll be struggling, you know, because you just don't put the passion where it needs to be, which is in your food, which because you as a blogger, and you know this, Diane, you transcend what you love. And as soon as you stop that transcending your love into the place and you cook, the people on the other side will see it, will hear it, will feel it. They'll know. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, we can look at blog and go, you know, and so you never have to lose that inner passion that you have. That's it, the most special thing, you know.
Mhm.
So it's I hope I answer your question.
You did, and
I
that's
kind of got
really
sidetracked.
no, it's great advice. It's really powerful advice because I do think it's really easy to get sidetracked and be looking at how many fans do I have? Why did
Mhm.
people leave me? And how many posts and stories? And, you know, and just get so kind of distracted by
Mhm.
that and not really focused on it's the food that brought me here. It's my love
Yeah.
of my food. And I'm the same way you are. I mean, that's why I'm doing this. It's because I love to cook and I've been cooking forever. And I used to cook with my mother and she passed away 8 years ago.
Oh.
And so I really, really miss her. And it's been this amazing journey for me to just meet all these chefs and this home
Mhm.
chefs. And it's like, in a way, it's feeding a need that that I used to share with my mother. So
That's
it's really
wonderful.
in a big hole for me. Yeah.
You know, for me, is what it has brought out to me. I have met online this wonderful chef who at the time was down to in Kent, and it just was happenstance. And I posted something, and she saw it, and we started communicating. And it's been kind of amazing because her life and my life very linear. We went through the same thing in our life together linearly. So I would say 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I was in the south of France. So she invited me, and she's, you know, she's a chef. She's a Michelin trained chef. Big sake, right? So here I am, tiny little Giangi in Arizona with a tiny little blog, and this wonderful chef over here has been doing this for 25 years with just Michelin trains. You know, she invites me to go to our cooking classes. Well, I jumped on that like, why don't I? I'm like, oh, I'm there. So we finally met because after all those years, we were doing stuff, we were talking, so on and so forth. So she invited me to one of her classes. So she was having two classes. So on Sunday, she invited me to the second class, and she said, "Come early." I said, "Okay." So I'll show up early. I mean, you know, she's my goddess. She's my hero. She's my mentor. So she shows up. She gave me this recipe. She said, "So read the recipe." So I read. I said, "This is easy." She said, "Great, you're teaching the class today." And I thought I was going to die. I'm like, "What? I never thought of my
Wow.
life." And so she said, "Yeah, you can do it." So I did, and I had the best time of my life. It was fabulous because
Oh.
I'm not a dessert person. She gave me dessert to make, so we made a peach apricot pie to die for. So her and I stayed in Cocktail. She moved from there to Amsterdam. And last year I was in Europe for 6 weeks, and I was going to go back. And she said, "Oh no, you're not. You're coming to spend a week with me." And for a whole week, I spent it with her cooking. Do you know?
Oh,
Okay, you
oh,
cook, I cook. From
fantastic.
morning to night, we talked food, we bred food, we went shopping for food, we made food. I adore her.
Oh,
Adore
how
her. And
lovely.
it's just like, and so I was supposed to be there again this summer. So I met her, which has been phenomenal. I've been meeting people, and you know, went down to Vietnam. I met other people there, other chefs that have been sending me their recipes. And I just did this morning earlier, 8 o'clock, a live stream with a blogger in India, one in the Bay Area. The lady who actually we put it all together with, she's in London, which is kind of fun, and me. And I have met two of those ladies probably say 8 years ago but Google Plus Hangout used to exist. Remember all of you
Wow,
Google Plus?
yes,
But we
yes.
still in contact after all those years, and we finally, after 8 years, were able to have a conversation face to face over the internet. And so it brought the world very small and very connected to me, and it's just been like surreal, really wow. You just go wow.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, it has been so fun to talk to you today. Oh,
Thank
what a
you.
treasure. I'm so glad that I found you on Instagram. I'm so
Well,
grateful.
I'm happy you did. Thank you so very much. Thank you for reaching out. I so appreciate it. I really, and I hope you're not too far from me. So I hope one day our path will cross when I'm coming down to your neck of the
Oh,
woods. I'm
please
sure be
do.
even.
Yes,
Yes.
you have to come over. We have to cook together. So
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to show me how to use the smoker. See there, I have it.
I would be
I
happy to
invited
show you.
myself.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you and be well. And please, you guys, seriously, go over and check out Giangi's Kitchen's website, her Instagram, her Pinterest. You're not going to be disappointed. There's so many amazing, amazing recipes on there.
Thank you,
So
and thank you so very much, Diane, for having me. It was an honor and a pleasure, and I really feel blessed that you invited me to be part of your program. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
you're welcome. All right. Thank you for joining us. And please subscribe to our podcast. Remember to add the most important ingredient to every recipe you make, your love. And as my mama always said to me as we said our goodbyes, que Dios te bendiga. May God bless you.